What's good, YouTube? It's good to see ya. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Now, we've got a really good one here today.
The
This one
purpose
came
of
up, came up on my feed, and it is titled Congress Erupts in Applause as Brandon Gill Educates Clueless Jasmine Crockett on Immigration. So there's a lot of spicy stuff in here. There's some good tips, and there's some good ideas and views here, and it's basically just calling this girl out. It seems we've got another DEI, didn't earn it, not very intelligent debater here, and we're going to go and see how Mr. Brandon Gill schools this person. If you haven't, make sure you watch the entire video. Each time you do that, it helps me get this content out there. And I do want to make this more of a compassionate thing that I have going, and I want to build it up and grow a community. So if you could, make sure you like the video and don't forget to subscribe. So let's get started.
our immigration system
It's a little loud.
is for the benefit of American citizens, not
There we go.
foreigners or anybody else. Why are our Democrat colleagues so determined to flood our country with millions of illegal aliens? And I'd like to
I can answer that, and they can answer that. Gavin Newsom can answer that. They want to set up a base of future voters to rig the elections. They want predominantly Hispanic, Latino, voters coming in from all over, to end up cooking the books. Basically, they want to make sure that the Democrats stay in power for the foreseeable future, and so that's why they're giving the health care. That's why they're doing this. They know that these people bring problems. They know these are gang people. They know these people are dealing drugs. They know all this. They could care less. They want to rig the books.
suggest that perhaps it's because they benefit from it politically.
Oh
Just
wow, what I just
let that
said.
sink in for a second. The purpose of our immigration system
Everybody knows it too. It's not like I'm saying anything new here. Even Trump knows this. Everybody knows
is
this.
for the benefit of American citizens. How is that a controversial statement?
It's
It's
not.
not.
Yeah.
It's a simple common sense truth. Hey, everybody, and thanks for tuning in. You just saw the opening shot from what I think is one of the most important congressional exchanges I've seen in a long time.
All right, man.
Con-
I appreciate your commentary, but let's see what this person has to say here, Jasmine. Oh Lord, DEI, look at the hair. God bless America. Look, you can put lipstick on a pig, but it still rolls in the mud and eats slop.
Feel as if my colleagues from across the aisle have decided that they are going
I love how you say that. Just say Republicans. They're not your colleagues. You hate them. You detest them. I've seen some of your work, Jasmine. I've seen some of your work. You are incredibly racist. It just goes to happen that you're black too. Go figure. Dadgummit. We can't keep having DEI black people being racist. If you're going to be DEI, keep the racism to yourself. Like, you can have radical opinions, that's great, but don't be a racist. Come on.
to make immigrants the boogeyman. It's insanity to me, but they also
What's insane to
are
me is
showing
how you think you're not
compassion
racist.
for victims, which they should, but they have no compassion for people that are contributing.
If you're not racist, why are you giving illegals health care over white people? Why are all white people bad? Based on what you've said in previous speeches and what you're about to say. Why are we cooking the books for illegals? Why are we sacrificing white citizens for illegals? Why is it that we want jobs to pay less? Why is it that immigrants lower wages? Why is it that immigrants restrict health care to people who need it, or take away health care from people who need it? Why is it when I had zero income, I couldn't get food stamps applied 8 times? Why is it that a single black mother can get income, or a illegal alien can get a hotel room and a credit card and a visa and a cell phone, and I can't even get food? I can't even get Section 8. Why? Because I'm white. Why is it that you advocate for those people but not for my people? It's almost like you're racist.
To making us great in this country.
Everybody but
So,
white people.
Interestingly enough,
We want anyone but the white
I'm curious to
man.
know, Mr. Beer, if you know if immigrants contributed to these particular crimes.
There goes that
There was
lipstick
a
on the
mass shooting
pig.
in Buffalo, New York, that killed a number of African Americans as they were trying to shop for groceries.
Okay, well, what were the African Americans doing? Because I don't know any police officer that can keep their job and fire at black people. In fact, the statistic says, and this is by the FBI, by the way, these are people who have been booked, that black people are 95% less likely to be gunned down without weapon or without retaliation. I think the number in 2023 was like 7. And then the amount of white people that were gunned down without a weapon was like several hundred. So that argument doesn't hold water.
Groceries. Was the defendant an immigrant in that case? Do you know?
No, he was a U.S.-born citizen.
Thank you so much. Charleston, South Carolina, there were black churchgoers trying to praise the Lord. They were killed. Was that an immigrant that perpetrated that or not?
No, that was a U.S.-born citizen.
Thank you so much. Now, coming home to Texas, there was in El Paso.
Look, these are specific instances where we are talking about mental illness. This has nothing to do with race. This has nothing to do with ethnicity. This has nothing to do with citizenship or not. She's saying, well, because a natural born citizen did these things, that automatically that means the immigrants are blameless and they never commit crimes. That's what she's trying to associate here. The ridiculousness of that is I mean, this woman is literally dumber than she looks. I mean, I said, you put lipstick on a pig. She's not even smart enough to be a pig and eat slop and roll in the mud. I mean, she's less than that. She is so unintelligent. You can't say because someone has a mental illness. Yeah, and a lot of the shootings, they are white, okay? But it's racist to think that all white people are shooters. That's not it. We're talking about mental illness. And mental illness runs in any race. It doesn't know race. It doesn't know color of skin. It doesn't know culture. Mental illness is on all aisles. And to say that these people, because they're citizens, they commit crimes. Well, yeah, citizens commit crimes. A lot of citizens commit crimes. But a lot more illegals commit crimes, and we have the data for that. More so than citizens, believe it or not.
Know if that was an immigrant or not.
No, they were targeting immigrants in that case.
In fact, each of these cases, it was white supremacists. And so the last unanimous consent that I'd...
You act like they don't exist. Look, if we're going to put apples to apples, you know how many black supremacists that I run into on a daily basis? Remember, I interact with these people daily. Maybe 10, 15 a day, every day. They'll never admit it, just the same way as the white people probably aren't admitting it. But it's a thing. Like, it's a thing. And just to sit here and pretend like it doesn't exist and that, all these people were white supremacists, I would say that they're more mentally disturbed, which leads to that, yes. But it's the same for black people. It's the same for Asian Americans. It's the same for Hispanics. Her argument just is really surface level. It's like a 5-year-old argument.
asked for is this article that states that white supremacists behind over 80% of extremism-related U.S. murders in 2022.
Mental illness.
Without objection.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nothing excites me more than the thought
He's about to cook her.
President Trump initiating the largest deportation operation
Amen. Let's
in
get him
American
out.
history. I'd like to remind the
Let's get him
committee
out.
that the purpose of our immigration system
That's right.
is for the benefit of American citizens, not for...
And I know some people watching this video will be like, oh, as soon as the white guy talks, you start nodding and, oh, yeah, you're right. No, it has nothing to do with the fact that he's right. It has, or white, it has everything to do with the fact that he is right. He speaks with conviction. What he's saying is factual. It holds water. His arguments make sense. He's well composed. He's not looking for a fight. He's simply calling out the bullcrap. It is what it is. I mean, if Jasmine Crockett said the same things that this guy was saying, I'd be nodding my head and going, yeah, preach it. Let's get it. She's not.
foreigners or anybody else. For the past
Telephone.
4 years, Democrats have facilitated the invasion of over
That's
10
true.
million illegal aliens into our country. Open borders grow the
10
welfare
million's the
state,
low
they
amount.
depress American wages,
It goes as high as 20.
strain our education and healthcare system, price our working class out of owning a home, and flood our communities with violence and drugs.
Look, every time I ask a black person, and I've asked probably about several thousand at this point, I say, what would you do if a Hispanic man or a black man just walks into your house and starts eating your food, sleeps on your couch, starts watching TV? You don't know who this guy is. And then he starts bringing friends over and they're doing drugs. And then you go in there one night to see why they're up at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, and they shoot and kill you. And I said, is that a scenario that you're comfortable with? Are you okay with letting someone who doesn't speak English, Hispanic, Venezuelan, El Salvador, are you okay with these people just living in your house for free, eating your food? And they're like, oh, heck no. And I'm like, well, then why do you vote Democrat? And they can't tell me. And then they call me racist. I'm like, come on. Just answer the question, yes or no. Like, are you cool with it? Because if you are, then you can be a Democrat. If not, then you've sold your soul to the devil and you need to repent.
Mr. Beer, and as well as my colleagues on the other side of the aisle,
I hate that phrase, colleagues. They're not colleagues.
Illegal alien crime
These are evil
notwithstanding,
people.
I'd like to remind you
These are
that
evildoers.
the correct number of American citizens.
Guys, if you're not a Christian, I want you to read the book of Malachi. It's like 4 chapters total. It is a quick read. You can read it in less than probably 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the most. Quick read. It talks about how God hates. God hates. God loves Jacob. God hates, and it used the word hates, Esau. The Edomites, the people who have rebelled against God, descendants of Cain, Edomites. And it talks about how God hates evildoers. In that same form, I hate evildoers. It just happens to be a lot of them are Democrat. In fact, most of them are. Hate them.
Murdered or
Hate
by
them.
illegal aliens is zero.
Zero tolerance for
Americans
evildoers
have learned firsthand
who hurt other
that
people.
importing the third world will turn America into the third world.
And by the way, if you don't know where Malachi is, it's the last book in the Old Testament right before Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. It's the book right before Matthew.
So in light of the chaos of the past 4 years, the question that has come up earlier is, why are our Democrat colleagues
They're not
so
colleagues.
determined to flood our country with millions of illegal aliens?
They're evil.
And I'd like to suggest that perhaps it's because they benefit from it politically.
Why else would they do it? Yep.
Remember that every state is apportioned congressional seats based on population,
Follow
not
the money.
based on citizenship. Counting non-citizens in congressional apportionment has resulted in more seats for blue states and fewer congressional seats for red states.
We've known this since Obama
For instance,
and Bill Clinton.
excluding non-citizens, California, would have an estimated 3 fewer congressional seats. In Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia, traditionally red states, would each have an estimated 1 additional seat. Right.
And look, guys, like if the Democrats had decent talking points, I wouldn't be upset with this at all. Like, I want it to be as 50-50 as humanly possible. I don't want it to be all Republican or all Democrat because we don't want to create an echo chamber of delusional ideas. You know, when everyone agrees with what you're saying, there's no competition to improve. There's no competition to challenge your ideas. There's no perspective change. There's no gaining of wisdom or insight. So I don't want it to be fully cooked Democrat. I also don't want it to be fully cooked Republican. So it's important that we do and work together. The problem is the Democrats are so weak and evil right now. Their whole agenda is anti-Trump everything. Trump saves a baby from being, struck by a baseball. Oh, well, Trump hates this, that, or the other. Or Trump is against natural selection, or Trump is against this or that. They'll spin it in a way that makes Trump look bad. Trump saves 100 million people from cancer because he streamlines the process and makes a new cancer drug that is FDA approved. It's been tested. We've done human trials. It's 100% effective, no side effects, whatever. People will say, well, Trump is racist against cancer. Like, he cannot win. And the Democrats are so foolish right now. And it will be their undoing if they don't watch it. That's why for the next, I'd say 10, 15 years, it's probably going to be Republican. It's going to be red elections. And I don't want that. I actually want there to be fair competition. I want the Democrats to stand on their own feet and believe in their own ideas and not just be completely godless and delusional. But unfortunately, right now, the Democrats worship the idea of government. They worship themselves. Republicans worship the idea of a creator, worship the creator. The Democrats worship the idea of self. They worship themselves. On the Republican side, we acknowledge God as the end-all be-all, the creator of the universe. On the Democrats, we acknowledge that there is no God and that we are the government and the government is the people and the government is God and the government makes the laws. And their morality is what the government says, not what the God says. So, you do have a very much so a situation of good and evil, a very heavy mix of end time prophecy. You have to understand, as far as the Bible is concerned, every end time event has already happened to the letter. It's already been fulfilled. If you were to take a clock, a 24-hour clock, we are at 23 hours and 59 minutes and some seconds on the prophecy timeline for the end times and the Antichrist. We are right there. In fact, it's been my prayer lately that we're on borrowed time. It's been my understanding. So all this to tie in, right now, we're in a situation of good and evil, not Republican versus Democrats. We have a side that's doing the right thing, and we have a side that's very blatantly being evil and worshiping it and accepting it. So you do have to make a choice, and you will be accountable for the choice you make. I do not believe the Bible speaks clearly. In Leviticus it talks about the sins of if you take a pledge, basically, and the party you pledge to or the community you pledge to, if they sin, you are responsible for that sin as a member, and you must pay atonement for it. You would have to make a sacrifice for it. So if it's that way in the Old Testament, nothing's changed. The only deal is God has paid the sin. But you still have sinned. So if you claim to be a Republican and a Republican Party sins, you're responsible for that sin. If the Democratic Party and you pledge your loyalty for them and they sin, which is often and without remorse, you are directly responsible for that sin, and you do need to repent of that. You do need to denounce that. That is why I do not vote one way or the other. I declare myself as more of a free thinker, an independent. Some people would label me as an independent. I don't vote for anyone based on Republican or Democrat. In fact, a lot of times I haven't voted. And so just keep that in mind. That is Bible stuff. You can read it. The very first 10 chapters of Leviticus. It's in there.
Now, in a political environment where Republicans have a 2-seat majority in the House of Representatives, the presence of millions of illegal aliens in America could quite literally change the balance of power in our country.
The only way
It did with Biden. Hot take, it did with Biden. Trump got millions and millions of more votes than his first term. And in his first term, he won big time. In his second term, it was like, 14 more million? He went from like 50 million to 63 million, 64 million, which with the previous population, they've done studies on this. On the previous population, it would have been impossible for him to lose. All of a sudden, Biden gets like 72 million votes out of nowhere. And then they did in Georgia. They looked at the books. In Georgia alone, they got rid of 450,000 illegal and counterfeit votes. People who didn't exist, dead people, illegal aliens voting several times. They got rid of 450 in Georgia alone. They cleaned house. If you take all 51 states, right? 50 states. If you take them all, that's my math, My brain is cooked. I'm not that smart. If you take all 50 states or whatever, multiply that number by 400,000 on the low end, There's your total for why Biden won. And he didn't win fairly. That's pretty much been proven at this point.
We're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and all of them.
Legal immigrants make the nation great. Illegal immigrants destroy a nation.
Our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are here.
The ultimate goal of
they need to do it legally.
Illegal immigration is mass amnesty and citizenship for illegal.
If you come to my house and you say, I declare that this house is mine, how do you think that's going to go? You come up to my house and you say, I live here now. Heck no, you don't. You're going to need to prove it to me, right? You're going to need to show me that you need to be here. You're going to need to understand English. You're going to need to be able to rationalize. You're going to need to be able to get a job and pay taxes. You're going to need to be able to do all of these things. Prove that you're not evil. Prove that you're not a gangbanger. Prove that you're not a drugger, drug salesman. I don't know who you are. Why do you deserve to be in my house? You don't. So just like America, yes, it takes a long time to become a citizen, but how serious are you about becoming one? I can't just go to college and decide, you know what, I want a PhD and I want to get it fresh out of high school in 3 years. You're probably not going to make it happen. You just physically cannot do the amount of work it takes as quickly as it takes and absorb the information as much as you need. It's a process. It takes time. It's the same with illegals. You can make it faster, but the faster we bring these people into our country, the quicker it degrades. So there needs to be a slowdown, and it needs to be at a certain pace. And right now, we are far in excess of what is appropriate or acceptable. And so Trump, this is a hot take, but even legal immigration needs to slow down right now because we're still deporting the illegals. And that's going to take some time. But eventually everything will get back to order, and immigration, it needs to happen as a flow. It needs to be at a certain rate. Any higher, it destroys the country. Any lower, and we suffer as well. So there's a perfect balance to this.
Aliens, which of course means ultimately allowing them to vote. And that's not a conspiracy theory either.
No, it's a reality.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer himself said it just 2 years ago, and I'm
We
quoting
knew that.
him.
Yeah.
Our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11,
That was 2
million,
years ago,
or
by the way.
however many undocumented there are here. That is their words, not mine. And it appears that for the past 4 years, providing a path to citizenship for illegal aliens is precisely what the Biden administration has been doing.
That's
All
exactly right.
So you just saw the whole thing. My mind is completely blown right now. Let's unpack this, because a lot happened, and the deflection from Representative Crockett was just off the charts. So, let's get right into it. She starts her argument by accusing Gill and other Republicans of making immigrants the boogeyman and having selective compassion.
They are the boogeyman. They very much so are the boogeyman. And not only are they the boogeyman, they're evil, they're violent, they're murderers, they're drug traffickers, they're sex slave artists. I mean, we act like, and I see this a lot in white culture. It's predominantly white women and gay men that I see this from, or gayer men who are extremely feminine, who are woke, liberal. The guys with the cute haircut and the glasses, the kind of coffee shop vibe. These guys think they basically want to write this check. We should just allow hundreds of millions of immigrants to just come in illegally and just do whatever they want. They deserve to be here because they're asylum seekers. No, they're not. No, they're not. First of all, they don't deserve to be anywhere. And why are they leaving their country? If our country is so terrible as they claim, why are they fleeing here? Everyone in the world comes here. Nobody in this America goes anywhere else unless they're liberal and they're like, I can't stand Trump. That's the only situation I've ever seen. Everyone wants to come here when it comes to politics, when it comes to living, all countries. So if we're so bad, why are they coming here? The second thing is with this is that these people are writing this check. Illegals should just be able to come in, right? And then they're not having to cash it. They're not having to look at the consequences of it. They're not, if you were to go up to those same people, those woke liberal women, and you were to say, okay, we used to pay you $100 an hour. Now you make 70 from here on out forever. And then if we get even more illegal immigrants, we're going to have to drop your wages even more because Jose over there is working for 60 an hour. And Martinez over there is working for 50 an hour. And Jose and Jamarcus over here, he wants to work for 50 an hour. He's willing to do your job for 50 an hour, so we got to let you go. Well, all of a sudden they're like, oh, heck no. So they're basically having these positions of power. These are luxury beliefs. These are beliefs that they never have to experience. But I guarantee you, if their boss came up to them and said, hey, I have to drop your pay $30 an hour or $20 an hour. You're making 30 an hour. They say, I can only pay you 20 an hour now because Jose is working for 20 and he can do your job better than you. Okay. What are you going to do? What's your position of leverage? You don't have one. You either quit and go find another job where they're doing the same thing with illegals, or you just go find another career path and pray that they're not hiring illegals. I mean, that's your options. So illegals, absolutely, and immigrants, they're both, I mean, illegals and immigrants drop the price of wages. They just do. It's the data, it's economics. You can debate till you're blue. The numbers don't lie. You just, you can't have these luxury beliefs and then not expect consequences. And unfortunately, the Republicans at this point very, very much so know the consequences of this lawless behavior.
Okay, fine. But then she goes into this really, really strange line of questioning.
It's racist, is what it is. It is. Call it what it is.
Evil mass shootings in Buffalo, Charleston, and El Paso. And she asks the witness, was the shooter an immigrant? The witness, of course, has to say,
let's take all the immigrants that are undocumented and how many of them do commit mass, maybe not mass murders, but violent murders, stealing, shoplifting, murder, gang activity, drug dealings, sex trade. How many of the immigrants that actually do commit those crimes? We actually have a statistic in the FBI, and it proves that what she's saying is dead wrong. Do people with mental illnesses who are white commit shootings? Yes. Are a lot of the shootings mass shootings from white people? Yes. But how many is true for black people as well? How many is true for Mexicans or Hispanics? How many is true for gang members in El Salvador who come here? You see what I'm saying? Mental illness knows no bounds. It knows no race. It knows no color. And yeah, it just so happens that a lot of white people do have mental illness. I run into them all the time. It could exacerbate it in the it could look like racism. It could look like he's a white supremacist, but it's a mental disorder. There's the wires aren't firing right. And it's the same with every type of people. But what she's trying to say is, see, because they're not immigrants, the immigrants are the good guys and white people are the bad guys. That's what she's trying to say. But she's not saying it. And it's so racist.
No, he was a US-born citizen. And she has this aha moment, connecting it all to white supremacy.
Yeah, it's all white people.
My reaction to that is, what?
Yeah,
what in the world does that have to do with the topic at hand?
Mental illness is the issue, not white people.
We are talking about illegal immigration. The fact that we have homegrown evil criminals in our country is a tragedy we have to deal with.
Yep, and believe it or not, the people we've deported, do you know how many of them are criminals? It's staggering. It is overwhelmingly staggering, the amount. It's like way above 70% of the people we deport are criminals. That's how we know. These people are like, we've already booked them 10 to 12 to 15 times because of Biden's soft on crime policies. We know who these people are. We know around where they hang out. We booked them so much, they're like, oh, hey, Joe, yeah, I'm back to prison. I'll be out next week. I'll see you again. I'll see you next week. It's that kind of deal. And these people act like immigrants are not causing problems. Immigrants are the problem.
Not an
for sure.
For just opening the floodgates and importing more potential crime and
I hate
chaos
it.
from
I hate
all
it.
over the.
I hate it how these people cherry pick data. That's what makes me mad. That's what makes me mad. Some people may say, well, Parker, you're cherry picking data. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I look up the data before the video. I go to an FBI database. I have friends who are working in the FBI who tell me these things. Yeah, I had one that I went to college. It's actually my cousin's. It's my cousin's cousin, believe it or not, Philip. He works in the FBI where I'm at, and he tells me this stuff all the time. You can actually go and look online these statistics if you don't trust me, and I don't want you to trust me. I want you to do your own research. I want you to make your own decisions. This is just mine. All of this commentary is strictly an opinion, by the way. It's all anecdotal. A lot of it is statistic based, but like I said, form your own opinion.
The world. That's like saying, hey, my house is already on fire in the kitchen, so I might as well light a fire in the living room too.
That's right. Yeah.
It makes zero sense.
It's just
It's a
stupid.
complete deflection from the real issue. And notice the word games. I said it, and Brandon Gill was very specific about it.
It's games. Yeah.
Illegal immigration. He's talking about the 10 million people who crossed the border.
It's
The
15 to 20
invasion,
million
as he
is
rightly
what we've
calls it.
come to find out.
He's not talking about legal immigrants who came here the right way, who followed the rules, and who love this country. But Representative
And someone will say, well, how do you know that number? Well, because we're looking at medical benefits and what goes out. We can definitively say it's between 15 and 20 million. The 15 million is what we have documented. The 20 million is what we expect is actually here, if that makes sense. So a lot of people are like, well, you don't know the actual number. Some people say 10, some people say 20, some people say 15. 15 that we know of. 15 who are draining benefits, for sure. That's how we know they're here. And we can look at border crossings as well. They document how many people get through. They know how many people get through because they try and stop them. And then every time one gets through, they have to document it. Is what it is.
Crockett keeps using the general broad term, immigrants. Why?
It's
It's
not
a
a broad
cheap
term.
rhetorical
It's
trick.
illegal.
She's
Illegal
trying
immigrants.
to paint Jill and anyone who wants a secure border as some kind of anti-immigrant bigot.
Yeah.
It's dishonest, and it's done on purpose
It's a
to
game.
shut down the conversation.
It's a game.
But this is where Brandon Gill just shines. He doesn't take the bait. He doesn't get emotional. He just brings it right back to the facts.
Yep. Facts win.
He
Facts
cuts right
over
through all
feelings.
that noise and says,
Look,
hey, this
yeah.
is having a real impact on our country. It's
Yep.
straining our welfare state.
It's a problem.
It's depressing American wages. It's straining our schools and hospitals.
Yep.
These are real-world consequences for American citizens. That's not a boogeyman. That's the reality.
That's real.
this-
Yeah, it's not made up.
This is the most important part of the entire video.
Look, the boogeyman doesn't exist. The boogeyman is a deflection. Boogeyman's not real. But Americans making lower wages, that is. Illegal immigrants taking out tax benefits and getting paid by the government to be here, being put in nice hotels, getting spending cards, getting credit cards, getting medical benefits for free that we have to pay for. Free to them, not to us. We have to pay for it. And I do the right thing. I pay my taxes. I give to the Caesar what's Caesar's, and I give to God what's God's. And unfortunately, Caesar takes more of my money than Caesar should. And then that pays for these illegal immigrants. When I've done everything as right as I can from the time I was born till now, they've done nothing but commit crimes, depressed our wages, come in illegally. Every day that they are in the United States, they commit a serious felony. Serious. And we have to pay for it. And what's even worse, when we try and get them out, that costs money that we're having to pay for as well. So not only are we paying for them to get a free ride, literally, we're also paying to have them deported because it's expensive. How do you think they get home? Well, they either got to get on a boat or they got to get on a plane. Do you know how much fuel for a plane costs? Do you know how much maintenance on a plane costs? So illegal immigrants are the biggest FU to a nation. Just excuse my language. Yeah.
This is the part they really don't want you to hear. Jill explains why they're doing this. He asks the question, why are they so determined to flood the country? And he gives the answer. It's political.
Of course it
He
is.
points
They
out
want more
that
voters.
congressional seats, the very power they have in Washington, D.C.,
That's right.
are given out based on total population, not just the number of citizens.
Right.
Think about that for a second.
That needs to be
A
patched.
state like California
If this was a video game, that would have been patched like day one.
gets more seats in Congress, more electoral votes, and more power because they have millions of non-citizens, including illegal immigrants, counted in their population.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, a state like Ohio, Pennsylvania, or West Virginia loses
Brohio.
power. It's a system that actively rewards the states that have failed to control the border. And just in case you were thinking, oh, that sounds like a crazy conspiracy
No,
theory.
it's not conspiracy at all. If you even say that it's conspiracy, that means you've done no research and you have no clue what you're talking about. Because if you follow data, if you turn off all the politics, turn off everything, forget you know anything about politics, and you say, I'm going to form an unbiased opinion, you start going to Google, you look at dates, you look at receipts, you look at border crossings, you look at illegals in the country, you look at medical receipts, you look at Social Security, you look at who's draining welfare, you look at FBI uh, statistics for people who's been booked that's been illegal, you look at police databases, and you do your own opinions, you cannot come to the conclusion of the Democrats. It is impossible. I think the Democrats' position is coming from a lack of data, a lack of understanding, a lack of knowledge, a lack of wisdom, a lack of wanting to admit that that's what they're doing. They're trying to play a game like they're sneaky, but they're losing because everyone knows what they're doing. It's like if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's probably a freaking duck. 1 + 1 = 2. The Democrats are trying to say, well, no, 2 + 2 = 90. And you're like, the heck? No, it doesn't. It's the same thing.
They roll the tape. They show the clip of Senator Chuck Schumer himself.
Do your own research,
What does
form
he
your own
say?
opinion. You know,
Our ultimate goal
that's what I'm
is to
encouraging.
get a path to citizenship for all 11 million, or however many undocumented there are. He said it out loud. Brandon Gill even calls this out.
I don't
He
want
says,
11.
That's not a conspiracy
I don't.
theory. And then he quotes Schumer word for word. He is using their own words against them. It's a
Look.
brilliant, airtight.
If you have a population of, let's say, 100 people, right? And these 100 people, money's changing normally. People are living their life. They're going to the store, buying groceries. You know, they pay the power and water bill, all this. And then, you know, they have insurance, right? So let's say your insurance is $10 a person for vehicle insurance and home insurance, just for numbers. And then let's say you flood that 100 people community with 1,000 people. So now it's 10 times the population. Well, all of these people need health insurance, and they're illegal, by the way. All these people need health insurance. They need home insurance. They need this and that, and mortgage insurance, and all this stuff. PMI. So what happens to all 100 people that are living there? Well, now their insurance goes up to $100 a month. It used to be $10, but because the population has 10x'd, the insurance has to 10x because you're insuring 10 times the people. And of those illegals, the crime is out of control. So there's a high percentage chance that a lot of these people are going to be bad drivers. A lot of them are going to be making claims. So because of the risk, it's actually not 100 a month. It's actually 150 a month, because you now have 10 times the population and you have 10 times the crime, you have 10 times the murders, you have 10 times the vehicular accidents and fatalities, and these people are expensive to insure. So you are now having to pay for that, even though these people came here illegally. That's the best example I can give.
Argument. And that Pennsylvania example from the video is just perfect. Trump
Yeah.
wins the state by about 120,000 votes. But wait, there are 150,000 illegal immigrants living in that same state.
Yep.
So what
In
happens
Georgia,
when
450.
those 150,000
450,000.
people are given that path to citizenship that Schumer wants? What happens when they get the right to vote, which you know is the final step?
They're going to give them the right
Poof.
to vote. They want them to.
Pennsylvania flips. It's gone, permanently. That is the ballgame, folks. This isn't about compassion. It's about securing a permanent political majority. It's about changing the entire electorate so they can stay in power forever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This is exactly what Brandon Gill was
Trump
exposing.
Trump for sure needs to patch that. Like, there needs to be a way. I understand the mindset that the pendulum always swings, but when people do stuff like this, it won't always swing. Something major has to happen. And the problem with that is, if the Democrats do and they were allowed to cook the books, this would 100% become a civil war. It would be a bloodbath. It would. I'm telling you. I'm telling you now. Mark my words. It would be a bloodbath, because what's going to happen is people would try and overthrow the government because they know the Democrats are evil. They know that Democrats are lawless. There's a lot of Christians and a lot of people who swing red, and they do not believe in all big government and all of this government control, communism. They don't believe in all this socialist crap. And so when they stay in power for decades and decades, eventually the right side will rise up and they will start mass killing. And I do mean it. They will start killing. It'll be a war, and they will take out government officials who are doing this. They'll get Gavin Newsom. They'll get all of these people. They may even get Truesdale in Canada. I don't know. They're going after everyone. The mayor of Chicago, the mayor of Portland, Oregon, the governor. They're going to go after everyone. They're going to get as many powerful people out as they possibly can to reset the balance. And believe it or not, the right to bear arms is specifically to counteract what the Democrats are doing. The Democrats are tyrannical. They're evil. They are. No way around it. Sorry if that hurts your feelings. It is what it is. The right to bear arms was to overthrow government tyranny. And that's exactly what will happen if they continue down the path that they continue. Now, I'm sure eventually a Democrat will get back into the presidency. I know for sure it will. The question is, how soon? I'm thinking 12 to 15 years. My opinion. It's just my opinion. Could be way off. But I think the next cycle or two will be Republican. There's just the Democrats have nobody right now. They're not even a contestant in the race. So unless they do illegal shenanigans, they're not going to win. And if the Democrats cook the books and they do it legally, your amendment right to bear arms and to overthrow the tyrannical government, that basically just means civil war. It will start a civil war. There'll be tens of millions of people killed. Innocent people. Just remember that. So what the Democrats are doing is they're causing a civil war. We don't want to see that.
He's not being hateful. He's not attacking immigrants. He is defending American citizens and pointing out a fundamental, corrupting threat to our entire system of democracy. He was focused, he was logical, and he refused to fall for the emotional traps.
That's good.
He just laid out the cold, hard truth.
That's what we need.
What do you guys think?
Strong people.
Did Crockett's argument make a lick of sense to you?
Heck no.
Or did Brandon Gill hit the nail right on the head?
Brandon Gill torched her, bro. Brandon Gill torched her. And I, like he said, he didn't get emotional at all. He just basically said, I hear what you're saying. It's a bunch of crap, but this is the reality. This is what's actually happening. This is what we're actually seeing. This is what the data suggests. And then the data schooled her. It wasn't even Gill. He just brought it up. He didn't really try to attack her. It's just he did attack her because she's so DEI and she's so wrong. Her argument, the fact that she said it, made her look even more stupid than she probably already is. I mean, she's just not a very intelligent human being. I'm sure she's a little smart, but, she thinks in her head that argument makes sense. To rational, logical people, it doesn't at all. In fact, it's so stupid. It's like, how could you even think that would be an argument? It just doesn't stand up to scrutiny at all. I mean, it's like a paper. You just rip it in half, your argument's over with. Good ideas are able to be combated and they're resilient. They can handle criticism. And if your idea can't handle criticism, it's not a good idea. It's not right. I'm sorry. It needs to be backed up with logic and facts. But anyway, that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you watch the whole thing, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out so much. Push this content out further. But anyway, thanks again, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.